Hello and welcome to video number 7. We're going to talk about the anatomy. So as we're talking about images, I'm sure you're thinking, okay, what exactly am I supposed to put inside of the graphic? We've talked about graphics. We've talked about the size of the graphic. Now what? Is there a blueprint or a formula? And yes, there is. And that's what we're going to cover in this specific video. Now, while you can get creative and add whatever you like, there are a few things that every pin-worthy image should contain, at minimum, to get the desired quality click. So let's talk about that right now. The image should show the following. First, it should show the end result or the end desire in a high-quality picture. In other words, it should show whoever you're trying to target what they want to create. So if you take a look at the examples of food, if somebody puts an image up of some tasty chicken parmesan dish, then in the back of the mind of your prospect, they're thinking, oh, that looks really yummy, that looks tasty, and you put a really good description and they really love it. They're going to click it because they want to know how to create that yummy chicken parmesan dish. So that in itself is the end result. So you don't want to choose any image, you want to choose the right image, if that makes sense. Second of all, you need to build curiosity to click, to learn how to achieve the end result. So in other words, that needs to be in the picture. So going back to the chicken parmesan example, it looks tasty. So the fact that it looks tasty, people want to know, how did you create it? So your goal is to get them interested enough to click your image and land on the content piece. Your goal isn't to sell them immediately, rather just to get them curious and interested. That's it. Remember, when it comes to selling online, it's not about getting them to click and buy. Like we talked about earlier, when it comes to relationships, you don't go up to somebody and say, hey, would you love to do this and that with me, go and hang out, be best friends kind of thing. You go up to them and usually you say hi and you kind of pique their interest and you begin to find common ground and then you go from there. So very similar to this concept as well here. The image should also show a call to action text. Of course, telling them what to do to learn how is very important. So going back to the example earlier, they're going to want to learn how. So you're going to want to put some text in the image that tells them what to expect after they click. So people need to be told what to do. Never assume anything. Never assume that they know what to do. Always tell them. So you're going to need to have a call to action text that says, click here to get recipe. So something short and sweet. Click to watch how to create this recipe or whatever you're trying to sell. So never assume anything and tell them the exact call to action. Now try to keep that within just a few words. You don't want to go overboard because remember, as people are going through Pinterest, they're scanning. They're looking really fast with their eyes on a bunch of images. So whatever image grabs them in, and not only that, tells them what to do to get what they want, they're going to click. So at the end of the day, you want something that people can save or even share with their friends or their family. Or they just pin it and then they share it in their board, in their group, and then their group finds out about it and then you get more traffic. So that's why you want to really set this up carefully and correctly. Now, of course, not only is the image important, but you really need to have a good description within the pin. So adding a really good description about the chicken parmesan dish, you can say this is easy, this can be created within less than 30 minutes, and this is how many calories, it's a low calorie diet, low cholesterol diet, something that's appealing to your audience. So if you know your audience, which goes back to why it's very important to understand who is going to click and what do they face in real life. So let's say, for example, that you have an image that says no sugar cupcakes. and you are targeting people who are diabetic. So you want to put the call to action with that, and then put that in the description. You can say, if you're diabetic, or if you are on a specific diet where you're not supposed to eat sugar, then this tastes really good. It only takes this amount of time. It'll save you money too, because it doesn't cost a lot of money. It's only like 3 ingredients. So it's easy, cheap, and it's fast. So those elements, actually, if you utilize those elements in your copy, in your description, those are elements that people want to know, because people don't want to spend a lot of money typically, and they don't want to spend a lot of time, because time is money. So again, if you talk about recipes, it needs to have a very good mouth-watering description of what the finished dish is like and what they're going to expect if they click on it. You always want to be transparent and tell people a little bit of what to expect on the other side. So when I mean other side, I mean when they click, they are sent to a piece of content. And that will actually help your conversions, and it'll also help gain trust, because people will realize that you're being genuine. You're not hiding anything or anything like that. You are telling them up front what to expect, and when they click on that, they are more likely to trust you. So transparency is very, very important. Being authentic is really important as well. Now, another example is if you look at popular restaurants. These popular places have really good menus with really good descriptions of the food with pictures. So they do a really good job. And if you think about it, people go in the restaurant, they're ready to buy, but they're interested. They don't know exactly what to buy, but they look through the menu, they see what they like, they buy it. So looking at these, because it's more of an instant buy, these are really, really good to look at. So menus from popular restaurants, the next time you go out to take a look at how they do it, and pick a restaurant that is doing really, really well. Now, sometimes you can go on Google and do a search on the restaurant and find restaurants that you really like that are doing well, and look at them, see if they have a menu on their website, and see how they've laid things out and use those descriptions. But if you keep with what I talked about in the previous slide, which was saving time, saving money, and not as many ingredients or not as many steps, those elements actually can help convert really well. So there is some element of sales copywriting in there. Basically, making it sound even more appealing using words is key. So you're having the image, getting them to attract to look at it, and then you got the description that kind of closes the deal to get them to click. And then when they click, you've got really good content that is congruent to the image, and they are impressed. Because the reality is not many people do that. So if you're one of the few that do that, you're going to be ahead of your competition. So like I said, even though the visual is great, you really need to back it up with a good description as well. All right, so with that said, let's move on to video number 8, and we'll talk about a reverse engineering hack that will help you in getting ideas on what your images can include.